Alright folks, seeing that the previous installment here was pretty popular, I figured let's knock out another one of these. They are after all relatively easy and fun to do and garners a lot of engagement from you guys, and I think we can all enjoy a healthy little discourse of what's enjoyable rather than what's best. So, if you haven't watched the previous installments, I'll leave a link to the rest of the playlist in the comments and also integrated in the clickable link thing in this video as well. So as always, just a caveat, this is about what Warband I enjoy playing the most, not a tier list kind of thing, unless it's a tier list for enjoyment, I guess. So Wyrdhollow, basically just the even more sinister sibling of Gnarlwood, the root system if you will. Basically all of the follow-up seasons in the same setting are like this, like it or not. Nightvault is Shadespire, but even further down and even more metal. Just like Dire Chasm is to Beastgrave and Nethermaze to Harrowdeep, so expect to see the even frostier sibling to Deathgorge in the upcoming days. It may even have been revealed at the time that this video hits the YouTubes, but I'm guessing it's gonna be something like Frostgrave if it weren't already a game of its own. But anyway, Wyrdhollow, this season is quite hard to rank for me, as I genuinely enjoy playing all of these warbands. And I will admit I haven't actually played Domitan after the changes. That is that you have to do the reaction to inspire, uninspire, if you can basically. But I reckon I will enjoy them more with it than before, as making them a bit more of a challenge is probably a win for me. And Domitan is actually the warband I've placed in the bottom here, and not because of the models, mind you. I really like the hooded Dark Angel-esque leader and the dynamic poses of the other two as well. But A, I'm not really a Stormcast fan, and B, sure, Stormcast lore is for sure underrated, but for Underworlds I don't feel that they've ever had very convincing lore, apart from Sigmar sent them to investigate A, B or C. They seldom have very intriguing motives of their own, which I guess is their thing, but still, it's just always been lacking for me. And C, I don't really fancy 3-man warbands most of the time. They often happen themselves in a position when you only have one fighter left and you really have to housekeep with your activations, put all the upgrades on one fighter, and yeah, sure, the changes to charge tokens have alleviated that to a great extent, but still, that being said, though, the ability to use range 2 and 3 gives this 3-man warband a lot more options than your typical 3-man warband of like a melee focused team, say like Steelhearts or Iron Souls. But so far they have proved maybe a little too powerful for my liking, and I've mostly stayed clear of them. The Inspire changes should make them quite a bit more challenging though, so please chime in as towards your thoughts on how they sit now, if they are a warband you regularly play with or against. Next up, I'm gonna put the Headsman's Curse. I do like death warbands, I'm just not a great fan of Haunts specifically. The advantage of lethal hex immunity while moving and flying always just feels like too much of an advantage. It just feels like they haven't always like made up for the innate advantage with the flying and lethal hex immunity while moving, with deficits to other stats. But this bunch is really thematic, with the whole story of the sword terminus and the servants being fleeting souls, but there must always be a wielder, sharpener and a bearer and a scripter. That's a really nice background there. And they are only 4, which is close to my optimal kind of team size, where I like to hover. 4 to 6 is the sweet spot for me, where 5 probably is my favorite kind of size for a warband. What I dislike is the staticness of having to, depending on your matchup, spend activations to do passive things like putting a counter on a card. The game is short and should, in my opinion, be fairly action-packed, so like standing around sharpening for several activations during the course of the game just feels a bit boring, even if I really like the design idea of it. Next up, I'm gonna put the Ephelim's Pandemonium. These guys have dominated quite heavily together with Domitans, but recent changes have definitely toned them down a bit. That is that you need 2 changers within 2 hexes instead of 3 hexes to boost Ephelim's wizard level. It was probably warranted though, and also that tweak to the changer sequence where your opponent gets to push and stagger fighters. This actually just makes the warband more appealing to me, and I still think they have quite a lot going for them. I will admit I don't really fancy Chaos Demons much. I think they are some of the ugliest models around, but I guess that's the point really. These have some interesting and strong stuff though, while also being quite squishy, which is a win in my book. And playing with a single wizard is always kind of this exhilarating feeling of a risk, that it might work wonderfully, but it can also fall apart very fast and your wizard perishes. I like that kind of balancing on a razor's edge. But in the top spot, I'm gonna put my lovely little Pestilence Deliverers of Skabbik's Plague Pack. These are some of my absolutely favorite models in the entire range of Warhammer Underworlds. While Skittershank, although a great model of himself, felt a little too much like Squitch 2.0 for me. These guys are different enough for me that I felt a real excitement painting them up in the murky brown garments like medieval monks during the Black Plague, with green lit fumes spreading from their censers. And the little rat is just amazing as well. I also like that they are quite different stat-wise from the other two Skaven teams. While Skittershanks were given the Squitch treatment with 5 move, 2 dodge inspired all round, these are a bit more pestilence-ridden, slow and less defensive. That's a great decision design-wise in my opinion. And they play quite uniquely as well, with their low defense lending them well to something like the Void-Cursed Thralls, for example. I might have to do a deck building video for these guys. Lore-wise, they are in the Death Gorge for culinary reasons. They are looking for a key ingredient to one of the 13 plagues. Who can blame them really? That's it for today. Let me know what you think about the Wyrdhollow season. The next installment will have to wait, as I really need more playtime with those two. Cast Final Judgment. But in the meantime, there's loads of other content to make, obviously. So yeah, take care. Bye. This is Mats again, chiming in to thank you for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and to not miss out on future content, ring the bell as well. And if you really liked this video, feel free to click the thanks button just below this video. And if you want to support me even further, you can now become a channel member and claim the title of Critical Focus Fan. Until next time, take care, bye.